everybody, Scotty Milas, ScottMilasFranchiseCoach.com. Another episode of What's Your Know Your Why, and all things considered franchising. Well, I all hope you're having a great day. I don't know what time it is or when you're listening to this, but I have one of my favorite people in the franchise industry. Someone who, I have to be transparent, probably one of the first people I met when I started out in this industry, and I won't get into how long it's been, but a long time ago. And one of the people that I think that just has a great personality, fits well into the industry, cares about franchising, but just connects well with prospects, her candidates, the brands that she works with, somebody who has just been well respected within the industry. It's just, I think everybody in the industry knows Jamie Lavigne. So welcome, Jamie. Hello. How you doing today?
Hello. Thank you so much. Those are such kind words. Like, I don't blush easily, but like you may have me blushing. So, man, we go way back, right?
Yes.
It's been a long time. And I won't say how long it's been, unless I say I started when I was 15. So, I mean, I'm like
you
30
and me
now,
both.
right?
Yeah. It's funny when people ask me how long you've been doing this, I don't get into years anymore. I just say it just seems like a lifetime, but
exactly.
One of the reasons I wanted to have you on this show is because not only because of your talent and experience in franchising, and I think it's going to be a great value, as people listen to this, hearing you talk about the industry, and of course, Woofies, the brand that you're representing now, which is off to an awesome start. Just
Thank you.
Really has taken all of the attributes of a pet concept and just kind of put it into one great company. So we'll get into that in a second. But what I wanted to tap in with you first initially is people who are interested in franchising or diversifying a portfolio. They may own an independent business and looking to diversify. Now they want to go to a franchising for a number of reasons, or people who already own a franchise that are looking to diversify. And of course, more importantly, those first timers, the people that are, they've been displaced, they're exiting corporate America, they're just fed up, whatever it may be. So when we talk about somebody in those categories that, wants to get into a franchise, and you talk to a lot of people. I mean, you've been in development for a long time. And, look, I think within the first half hour talking to somebody, I think you could pretty much determine whether it's going to work or not going to work. So, and again, Absolutely. So what are some of the things that you're hearing with your prospects, candidates about franchising? You're seeing that the strong attributes are that will make someone successful in a franchise business. Let's talk about that for a few minutes before we get into Woofies.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great topic. And I was actually just having this exact conversation with a candidate last night, actually. When I first meet a candidate for the first time, there's several things that I'm looking for, and I'm not interested in talking about the brand at all on the first call. It's really just getting to know that person, what their experiences are from a professional perspective, what's their why timing, why this industry, not specifically the brand or anything, what's their goals, what are they trying to accomplish? And how they answer those questions or tell me about themselves, really, I'm like, yep, they got it or they don't got it. And I know how far we're going to go in this process. So I'm looking for passion. Of course, they need to have a true passion of wanting to be in business for themselves and wanting to be in that particular industry. So, of course, with Woofies, we're looking for passionate people for animals, right? But when I was with Home Watch Caregivers, it needed to be a passion for community and people, right? So I truly believe you need to have some passion to be successful, unless you are this like uber entrepreneur that really has a complete system in place from an operational perspective. And that does actually definitely work. I've seen it work when I worked for Meineke and awarded people with, that had multiple Dunkin' Donuts and stuff like that. So I do think that works. But overall, when people are new to franchising, new to business ownership, they need that passion. I look for, are they entrepreneurial or too entrepreneurial, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
There's people that, they've started their own companies and they're like, they're going to want too much control. And franchising is a balance of that, right? Franchising is about providing resources to these potential franchisees to help them succeed. And it's all ships rise, right? The franchisor is just as invested in that franchisee as the franchisee is in their business. But sometimes if you're too entrepreneurial, they think they know it all and they can do it better.
Absolutely.
And I've seen that so many times where I'm like, and I straight up, I'm just, me, Scott, I don't sugarcoat anything. And
That's right. You're a straight shooter.
I just say, I'm like, hey, I'm enjoying this conversation, but I think you might be too entrepreneurial. And it's almost like that whole taking the candy away from a baby. And then they're like, no, that's not true. And I was like, okay, well, how would you feel if the franchisor says you have to do this, but you don't want to do it that way? Oh, I wouldn't like that. Well, there you go. And, I give some examples and we try to, flush that situation out. But I also look for those skill sets that I think will work in the model of the brand that I'm working in, right? With Woofies, it's a logistics company more than anything. So do they have that kind of engineering operational mind that will help with that logistics side? Do they like people and dogs and community? And so it's just like check marks and boxes. And if they don't have those skill sets, do I feel like they have the ability to manage somebody who has those skill sets, right? So I'm in my head just kind of checking some boxes and stuff.
No,
like
that those are great answers. And it's funny you brought up the conversation you had last night. I was talking to somebody earlier this week, and we got into the word passion. And it's funny because typically I'm the one asking the questions, and occasionally they'll ask questions. And this particular client asked me, well, what do you mean by passion? What's your definition of having passion for the industry or being an entrepreneur? And I said, well, look, I look at it this way. You're currently employed and you're looking to exit. So do you like one, and the example you use, do you like when somebody, your superior or a direct report, tells you what you should do or how you should do it versus coming up with your own way or following a system based on what the book is? I said, passion isn't about jumping out of bed every day and feeling excited about going to work, because you're not going to have those days all the time. Mm-hmm. So, when you talk about passion, is it the passion to be successful and independent and kind of build it with a foundation? Or you're not talking about the passion of being, like I just said, jumping out of bed and saying, woo, Woofies, I'm going to Woofies today. I mean, we're not talking
about a dog to lick my face.
Right. We're not talking about that, right? We're just talking about that passion to be successful and to follow a proven system, correct?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. You've got to think, I often encourage my candidates, especially when they get cold feet, because we all know that happens. I ask them if they want me to buy them some heated socks. But, I encourage them to write a mission statement, so I want you to write down your why. Why did you start wanting to consider your own business to begin with? Write that why down. Now write a mission statement of when you do start your own business, and it's not related to specifically any brand, just what's your mission statement for your business? Is it about serving people? Is it mission driven? Is it to be able to create your own nice work-life balance and, go summer on an island somewhere, what is your why? What is your mission statement? And then when you're looking at each brand, write down all the skill sets that brand requires and check off how many you can do. And then the ones that aren't checked, say, can you hire somebody and manage that person? But that's the passion is, what do you want to do for the rest of your life when you grow up, and so I'm totally aligned with you. It's more about passion for investing in yourself as opposed to somebody else.
Yep. I mean, I talk a lot with my clients about what's your end game. Where are you looking to get to? And people say, well, what do you mean? I go, well, look, you open a business. What are you striving for? What's your end game? I mean, there's got to be an end game. I mean, in sports, the end game is we want to win the game. We come up with a plan to win the game. You're not planning to win the Super Bowl. You're taking it one game at a time. Eventually, you start planning to win the Super Bowl. But so a lot of people get a little bit surprised about that. So
Yeah,
tell me a little.
exit strategy and succession planning is something they need to think about right away. And that's
Yes.
part of my process.
Yeah.
But they freak out like, I haven't even bought a business yet. Why are you asking me about that, talking about that? Well, because that's important.
Right, right. Tying in your experience in the brands that you've worked with starting out in the industry, I know you were involved in a lot of reviewing franchise systems, lead generation, sort of things like that. But and you've been very successful in what you've done, and you
Thank
were
you.
very successful in your prior brand, kind of helping them get on the map, building it, taking it to the next level. And now you're faced with what I would call that next, chapter where you're doing the same thing. You're taking a brand that has been successful at a smaller level and now looking at to take it to that, next level. I guess that's the best way. Tell me about Woofies. Tell me what's exciting about it, what you're seeing it. I mean, look, I always tell my clients the pet industry is a remarkable industry to be in because it's recession resistant. It's technology resistant in most cases. You could go through the stats, but there has to be, as you and I just talked about, that passion to be in the industry. It is a business, but like anything else, if you don't like mowing lawns or taking care of the garden, you probably shouldn't get into an outdoor landscaping company as a franchise. So tell me about Woofies, what you're seeing, how the brand is doing in your early development with the company. I'm excited to hear about this.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. Yeah, I was with Home Watch Caregivers for over 5 years, and I had a passion for that. Brian, so you talk about passion. Like, I also feel like I have to have a passion for the brand I work for, right?
Yep.
And so with Home Watch Caregivers, my first job when I was a kid was at a nursing home, and I was somebody's caregiver. So taking that, working with that brand was so amazing. And it's still my baby. It was bittersweet to leave, but when Authority Brands brought on Woofies, I was like, please let me be on this brand because I have a lot of dogs, Scott, and you're probably going to hear them bark at some point. Currently 3, but at one point I had 5. And it's only a matter of time before I get to 6. Like, it's going to happen. So with Woofies, it was so much. I really wanted to be on the brand because I love the industry. I am a huge animal lover, and I think it's important to have passion for animals because at the end of the day, dogs are going to be all over you all the time. You're going to be surrounded by dogs. And if you don't like pet hair, if you don't like them jumping on you and kissing your face, this is probably not going to work for you. And so that's where that passion piece comes in, right? They don't necessarily have to have dogs or anything like that, but they need to be understanding that they're going to be around dogs and cats and other animals all the time. So with Woofies, what's also really exciting about it, well, for me, it was awesome and exciting to like take this challenge of taking this little small baby puppy and help it, train it and grow it to, an adult male or adult,
Right.
Female dog. And I love that challenge, and I hadn't done it before. And so I was really excited to get in there, and I'm ADHD, as you know, so it was like, this is perfect for me. I immediately bonded with the brand leaders. Like, I met them for the first time, and I was like, where have you people been my whole life? Like, I felt like I was instantly connected. Like, we've been long lost soul sisters. So that was great for me, for my culture and what I was looking for. But this is a brand that takes multiple, revenue streams that the other industry competitors are doing, just one, and puts them into one package, right? So instead of having to buy multiple different brands to do these revenue streams, you can get one. So it's 6 revenue streams: dog walking, pet sitting. And I like to explain pet sitting because people just think that's boarding, which it's not. Pet sitting is where the pet sitter either goes into the client's home or the pets go to the pet sitter's home, which we call bed and biscuit. There's the dog. And I have no idea what they're barking at. Probably a wild turkey. Guys, hush. I live in the woods, Scott, on 31 acres in northern New Hampshire, hence the woolly cap here. So pet sittings in the client's home or at the dog's pet sitter's home, and it's all animals: dogs, cats, bearded dragons, birds, goats, chickens. People need their chickens
Bearded
fed when they
dragons. I
go on
love it.
vacation. Oh yeah, that is like a super popular pet right now. Then of course there's the mobile grooming, and mobile grooming, hence versus retail, is just so much better, because in a retail environment you can only put so many dog grooming stations, and so you're going to cap out. But with mobile grooming, it is so incredibly scalable. Same with the dog walking, pet sitting. But you want more grooming revenue, put another van in. You want another one, put another van, and you just keep growing it. And people prefer this because they'll trade time for money, right? They don't have to bring their dog to the retail location. They don't have to stress their dog out that stays in a kennel and stuff like that, and then have to go back and pick them back up. They don't even have to be home. You just have a lockbox, and the groomer can go and grab the dog, and the dog creates a relationship with the same groomer over and over again. So it's a whole different experience. Plus you get to charge way more. I mean, come on. Then we also do pet transport. So think of elderly people that need help bringing the animals to the vet. We do community events. We're very much a community infused business. So these are events to either make money or raise money, right? So my favorite one is called Yappy Hour, where you partner with Yappy Hour. Think of partnering with a dog friendly bar, right? Or brewery or something. And people bring their dogs down, and you have, you do brush outs, de-shedding, nail trim, ear cleaning, teeth cleaning. They go in and have some margaritas. They come out and they're a little tipsy, and they're like, oh, and we're like, oh, your dog picked out a toy. You should buy it, And so you sell some retail product like Woofies hats and dog toys and leashes and stuff like that. So those are the 6 revenue streams. Another community event that I really love is, to raise money and give back. So Paws and Claws. Paws and Claws. This is, you hire a pet photographer that sets up a beautiful backdrop with Santa Claus, and people come and get their dog's picture taken with Santa. I mean, it's just dogs and cats are just like children. These people want pictures with Santa Claus and their dog, and they pay for that, $50+ and you can either keep that money, but we encourage you to donate it and give it back to the community, with a rescue or a shelter. And there's lots of other ways to do that as well. Since Authority Brands purchased Woofies, they are highly invested. It's the first time Authority Brands has invested into a micro emerging brand. So they are very, very invested in this brand succeeding.
Yeah, no, they have some great brands. What is it that you're seeing when you're talking to people, potential franchisees, as you start these conversations? Are there anything commonalities between the people that you're talking, forgetting about the love of pets? I mean, obviously we talked about that passion, but is there a background? You're seeing people coming out of corporate America. Is it the person that, had previously been working in retail and, now is thinking or been in the industry, the pet industry before? Are there any commonalities about people that become very interested and then become franchisees? And then the other side of that is there anything that you're seeing that doesn't work? We talked about not having the passion, but excluding that, not having a certain qualification or coming out of a certain category where it just won't work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we started awarding franchises with Authority Brands once we got our new FDD in April, basically. And so what I've seen in the last 6 months is 2 major distinctions. Well, maybe a little more than 2, but 2 ones that are extremely prominent. One is family friendly. And so these are, kind of in 2 branches. One that is, they want to bring their adult children into the business and run it as a family business, because they see this appealing to the masses of their family with their adult children. Especially, adult children right now are they millennials, or what are they? I mean, they're the next one generation down. That generation really has like this real passion piece to it. And so it really works well. The other one is families that have young children, but still want to start their own business, but they really need that work-life balance. So one of our new franchisees, Anna Hall, she has 2 young children, and she needed to be able to work from home every day to still take care of her children.
Right.
And so this works perfectly for that. And 2 of our new franchisees are doing this family thing that I was just referencing. The other major bucket is engineers and IT and IT people, engineers and IT and some operational people. And I love it because this business is a logistics business at the end of the day. There's two pieces to
plotting
it.
the schedule out.
Exactly. The efficiency of your vans and using our technology for that is going to determine how much money per van revenue wise you make. And so I love those engineer minds. They get it. And when they see the technology, they're like, wow, this is amazing. So those are the two major buckets that I'm seeing. But I believe that, any of those corporate America people, we do allow people to be semi-absentee so they can manage their manager. So we do allow that. But what I don't want to see is somebody that doesn't have enough money. I've absolutely have run into that a few times. They are so hungry and they want it so bad. And I can feel it coming through the screen when I'm talking to them, but they don't have enough money. And that is something I learned about a long time ago is don't make exceptions on money because they unfortunately will likely fail. The odds are incredibly high because even though they probably have enough money, when they start running out, they freak out. And then they do stupid things like stop marketing or stop this and try to save money. And that's to the detriment. So that is what it's going to be really important people to truly understand, especially if they decide to be semi-absentee because they're afraid to leave their job and stuff. Like, how much money do you really need? And item 7 is just a starting point, right? I truly believe in saying, hey, this is just a starting point. Times that 3 months working capital by 4, do it for a year. If you're going to be semi-absentee, add an extra, $60,000 to $100,000 on top of that. And they were like, what? And I'm like, you got to think about
plan big. And if you have anything left over and you don't use it, just put it back in your pocket or into the business. No, you're absolutely right. I think being underfunded is that's a great point. I mean, being underfunded will catch up to you pretty quickly. It goes by those first 90 days, 120 days, just as the process takes 90 to 120 days, 60 to 90 somewhere in there. Let's just say 60 to 120. And that goes by pretty quick when you have to make that decision, when the brand makes its decision. And of course, the person interested in the franchise has to make a decision. But when you're open the first 90 days, that goes pretty quick. And
it does. And we want to be responsible. That's one of the reasons I love working for authority brands is they believe in responsible growth. And so we're not going to sell 10 territories to a person. We're only going up to 3 territories. And even then it's like, we're going to be really stingent about that. It has to be the right fit. You've got to be financially. And I would rather turn somebody down, which sounds weird to say to a micro emerging brand. Like, emerging brands are supposed to take everybody, right? Nah, I want to sleep at night. And so I will turn somebody down because it's not the right fit. And that doesn't always win me, the vote of the, favorite person award, but that's okay. I'd rather be very honest and upfront.
Let's change the subject real quick because we're running out of some time here. And I appreciate the information on Woofies, and I'll give the opportunity for you to give out your contact information, how people can get a hold of you directly if they want, instead of calling me to get in touch with you, so we can work that out. But the franchising industry, franchising has been around for a long time. I mean, it all started back, with Tom Carvel and everything else, and there are
sewing machine.
Yeah, exactly. And there are license agreements. I mean, look, if I had a dollar for everyone who called me up and said, "Can you get me a Starbucks or a Chipotle's?" I'd probably be, sitting on the beach right now. And those aren't franchises. And Chick-fil-A isn't a franchise; it's a license agreement. You're paying. And again, everybody has to fit to where they want to belong and be comfortable. But the franchising industry has had some stereotypes over the years. It's weaved its way in and out of certain economic times, but it has remained strong. Where do you see the industry today? And do you think it's going, and I believe it will remain strong. I think it's going to remain a player and become a bigger player, especially as things change and evolve. But do you see the industry being still strong and that it's definitely something that people should consider?
I do. I mean, I think COVID proved that,
Right.
actually, right? COVID proved that, during COVID, there's a stat out there, and I'm gonna say it, but it's probably a little outdated, but I doubt it's very different. That after 5 years in business, that only 20% of independents are still in business,
Correct.
but
You're right on.
90% of franchisees are still in business. Holy cow, that's huge. But now you look at COVID, and the independents were on an island by themselves, right? They had no resources, nobody to help them and help them with PPE and with other resources and support. But franchises did. Home watch caregivers was this giant, they all got on the yacht together and supported each other, and they stayed afloat, right? And even with some of our other brands and authority brands that did have to have some temporary closures, they all banded together. Authority brands banded with them, and now they're pretty much
Right.
every single one of them are back open and thriving again. And now I'm speaking of the cleaning authority. Now the cleaning authority is number one in their space after COVID. They weren't number one before COVID. Now they're number
No,
one.
yep.
You see where I'm going with this? And I think franchising is just getting stronger and stronger. And I think that has a lot to do with more people being more responsible. The FTC comes in and is tightening things up to make sure it's more fair for everybody.
Yep.
And that sometimes can be irritating for us as well. But I absolutely think franchising is here to stay, and it's just going to get better and better, and more people are recognizing that. And think about how many franchisors are out there. It's like over 4,000 brands.
Yeah,
now,
I mean,
right?
it's
There's
endless,
a
and not
reason
all
for
of
that.
and not all of them are great ones. And again, there's the due
No.
diligence, the validation. You want to be careful, and that's
Yes.
why talking to people within the industry that have experience, like yourself, and same level of experience for me, but have their ears and eyes glued to the industry, can kind of, and not that we would throw anybody under the bus, but there are certain things you want to stay away from.
100% agree.
I tell people that I talk to that, they say, well, why a franchise when I can do this myself? I said, look, if you're the type of person that wants to wake up in the morning and either change your front sign or decide to serve soup and make your own soup, then you're right. Franchising probably isn't for you. But or they say, well, I don't want to pay royalties. I said, well, in essence, if you own your own business and independent, you are still paying royalties. No, I'm not. I said, yes, you are. I said, because there's a certain amount of money that has to go back into your business. And that is your royalty that you're paying the business. It's not going into your pocket. It's going into the business. So when you pay a royalty or a franchisor, you're paying for them to develop the systems and have them be able to generate income
and give you resources. I had that exact conversation last night.
Funny.
Why wouldn't I do this on your own? You could do this on your own. Absolutely. You could do this on. It's not rocket science, but at the end of the day, I can argue you will spend as much, if not more, as an independent than you will as a franchisee, because we've already created the wheel. We already have all the systems in place, and we have these resources and buying power and the technology and all this stuff. You're going to have to do all that on your own, and it's going to cost you money. So what's more important, your time or your money? How much is your time worth? Right. And I have this silly analogy. You're in with a franchise, you're investing in a franchise. It's like a short-term marriage with a better exit strategy. And you want to, I
got to use that line. I got to use that line.
I have a whole analogy that goes along with that. I won't get into all the details, but bottom line is you want to love the people you're marrying, the family you're marrying, because we're not just marrying our spouses. Let's face it. You're marrying the family, and you want to love the family you're marrying. So that goes back to your concept of the due diligence. But yeah, we're on the same page.
My father mentioned same analogy my father taught me many, many moons ago. He says, look, get married. He says, but you're even if it didn't work out, you're married for life. And I said, what do you mean I'm married for life? Well, if there's kids or other family, I mean, you're all connected.
Yeah,
you're not going anywhere. So
unless you don't have kids, then you could maybe escape if you don't have to pay alimony. But you're not going to escape for free. That's for sure. But with the franchising, they have a great exit strategy. They can sell their business. And
people don't realize that it a lot of people think that a franchise is not an independent business. It is an independent business, because if you want to wake up one morning and sell it, or somebody says, I want to buy it from you, Well, guess what? As long as the franchisor, the brand says okay, and they go through the same
Yeah,
process that you went for, it's a win-win for everybody. So it's
exactly.
well,
100% agree.
Jamie, I have really enjoyed this conversation. I'd like you to maybe take a minute just to let people know the best way to get in contact with you, to learn more about Woofies. Obviously, they can reach out to me at this point, but if you could just
Yeah.
point us in the
I
direction,
think
that'd be great.
everybody should just reach out to Scotty because he is a rock star in franchising, and he has your
Thanks.
best. You have your candidate's best interests at heart, and you're so knowledgeable. So I think people should literally just reach out to you to connect with me. But they can go to ownawoofies.com. Woofies is WOOFIES. Or they can contact me, Jamie Lavigne. My email is kind of hard if you don't know how the French spelling of Lavigne, J Lavigne, LAVIGNE at authoritybrandsllc.com. See how long that is? Just call Scotty. Scotty will introduce us.
Well, this has been a great, I'm looking forward to having you back on somewhere down the road, sooner rather than later, Jamie. It's always exciting. Maybe we'll get into some other topics about entrepreneurship, but it's been
I can be a co-host with you.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Look, we've had some fun times in this industry, and that's the beauty of the franchising industry. It's an industry that's supported by everybody. I mean, there are a few bad apples, but you know what? Those few bad apples don't spoil the tree. They haven't taken down the tree.
And that's in every industry.
Yes.
I have so many big brothers and sisters in this industry, and that's what we just become family. It's great.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you for spending some time with Scotty Milas here, scottmilasfranchisecoach.com. What's your know your why, and all things considered franchising. You can reach me at scottmilasfranchisecoach.com, or just go to my website, scottmilasfranchisecoach.com, and check out my phone number and give me a call. My number is always open. Well, I shouldn't say always open, but give me a call. I do still talk on the phone. I still talk on the phone. So this is Scotty Milas saying so long for now until the next time, and enjoy your day, and have and whatever you decide to do, make sure it's the right decision for you and your family.
Give me